Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and before we start any of our discussions surrounding Derby weekend at Celtic, we have a few things to go over today, which include talks over ticket allocations at Hampden for the Scottish Cup final, and Kvistgaarden's name has came up yet again. Will the transfer saga finally come to an end this summer? We'll need to wait and see, but a few things to go over. Let's do that on a beautiful, gorgeous summer's day. I need out of this attic. It's as simple as that. You can hear the dehumidifier going behind me. It's warm. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Thank you all for your support as of late. You guys have been smashing it, so continue to do so. Go down below, hit both those buttons. It is absolutely free. We're going to start today talking about the Scottish Cup final because it's been announced the ticket allocations for that game at Hampden Park on the 24th of May. So we should look over that. Bad news for Celtic fans, I would say. Bad news because these were the headlines coming out this afternoon that Aberdeen have secured a mega Celtic Scottish Cup final allocation as the Aberdeen board reveal they are hit for unsold briefs. More than 20,000 Aberdeen fans will be in place at Hampden. The article goes on to say that Aberdeen have been handed more than 20,000 tickets for their Scottish Cup final showpiece with Celtic after fighting tooth and nail to secure a maximum allocation. And the Aberdeen board have agreed to underwrite any unsold briefs to make it happen in a show of faith towards their support. So it's virtually a 50-50 split for the Scottish Cup final. I know Aberdeen fans will be in the comments section celebrating and saying they're deserving of it, and I'll say fair play to you. If you can sell it out, okay, fair enough. But the Scottish Cup semi-finals suggest that it shouldn't have been the case. Now, I'm not going to complain about it. It's in the issue of fairness. I understand why the Aberdeen board have fought their case to try and make it a 50-50 split. They want to make it as evenly matched as a cup final as possible. But, you know, people like me and plenty of other season ticket holders at Celtic are going to go through the same rigmarole as we've had to these last few years. Folk are going to miss out. And it's a bit of a kick in the stones, but nonetheless, Aberdeen have revealed the reason why they've been given that 50-50 split, and now they've got to back that up. So Aberdeen were initially offered 16,800 tickets with a potential but not guaranteed 2,000 extra if they sold out, but they argued against it on the basis of their 19,500 allocation for the 2023 League Cup final against Rangers, which sold out rapidly. And to ensure that these Aberdeen fans get the chance to attend, Aberdeen have announced they will underwrite the cost of any unsold tickets to ensure their largest Hampden allocation in recent years. So asking a lot of their supporters, effectively, the SFA will lose no money. Hampden or whatever, whoever reaps the most out of these ticket sales, nobody's going to lose money. The only party who will essentially risk losing money here is Aberdeen, because the tickets they don't sell, they will make up the cost of that and give it to the SFA essentially. So yeah, the SFA have said, okay, fair enough, on you go. And now the Aberdeen supporters need to, basically back up the faith that their board have showed in them. So yeah, Aberdeen fans will be having a blast. They'll be absolutely delighted. It just means that Celtic fans are as I've said, going to go through the pain of seeing if they've made a ballot or not, which I'm sure we'll hear about in the next couple of weeks following this confirmation today. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not as if Celtic are innocent in all of this. I would be ignorant to sit here and say that Celtic are a club who just stand idly by and have nothing to do in this situation. We don't help ourselves, because last year we heard that for the Scottish Cup final, there was up to 7,000 tickets of our 25,000 allocation given to hospitality. And that's why so many Celtic fans were missing out. So I don't know what the script is with hospitality this year and how many are confirmed for those packages. The packages are now on sale, I know that. The question is how many compared to last year. So we're going to be in the same situation with a little more than last year. Hospitality could be make or break for the majority of Celtic supporters. It's not going to be ideal. It's going to be a pain. And, of course, a lot of Celtic fans are going to feel let down after seeing the comparison of both clubs' support in the semi-finals. So make of it what you will. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I, for one, am crossing my fingers and toes that I am drawn out in the ballot for a ticket. I was drawn out, luckily, for a ballot in a ticket in the ballot of the League Cup final in December, which I couldn't even go to because, if you remember rightly, I was seeing Paul McCartney that night. So hopefully I get drawn again, but I fear. I missed last year's Scottish Cup final. I don't want to make it an occurring theme. I just want to be there. But fans at home, fans who won't be attending, you have good news at least. Because the BBC have confirmed the Scottish Cup final will be shown on BBC One Scotland. A statement from them this afternoon read that both Scottish Cup finals, of course the men and women's, will be broadcast live on BBC One Scotland, with the meeting between Aberdeen and Celtic and the men's showpiece kicking off at 3 o'clock on Saturday the 24th of May. Both finals will be available to watch via BBC iPlayer and the BBC Sport website, as well as BBC One Scotland, with commentary of both on BBC Radio Scotland too. So a lot of people were getting concerned this could be a Premier Sports job or a Viaplay job or something like that. You will be able to watch the game wherever you are in the country. BBC broadcasting the final live for you. Thank goodness. At least if I don't get a ticket, I won't need to deal with any laggy streams. So I guess there's a silver lining everywhere. Right, on to some brief transfer chat. We're going to talk about a couple of strikers in today's video, because Celtic have been told by a pundit in Norway how much it will take to sign Mathias Kvistgaarden this summer, should we still be interested in the striker. Of course, Mathias Kvistgaarden has been linked with Celtic for, 2-3 years now, it feels like. Maybe not as long as 3 years, but it certainly felt like an eternity. And once more, his name is doing the rounds again, because it looks all but certain he will leave Brøndby this summer window. Whether or not that's to Celtic, we need to wait and see. However, a pundit up in Norway has said the price tag he thinks it will take for that transfer to be triggered. This was the words of a Danish pundit and former Hibs player, Francis Dicko, on Viaplay over the weekend, saying that he needs an £11.3 million price tag for any sort of deal to be considered. It will be Benjamin Schmed's job to come up with around 100 million kroner, which is £11.3 million. I'm not sure that exactly 100 million kroner needs to be on the table before they say yes to it, but if you get there, I think they will say yes. So that seems to be the, let's just say, professional opinion of someone close to the player up there. Will that be a fee that Celtic are willing to pay for a striker this window? We just need to wait and see. Now, what I will caveat all of that with, and this is what I said in my live stream last night, is this is only the words of a pundit. This is essentially the same as Chris Sutton or Chris Boyd sitting on Sky and dictating the value of a player for other clubs down south. We can't exactly take this as gospel. We've heard price tags that have changed every window over the past 2 years. At first it was maybe 6 or 7 million. It went up to as high as maybe 15 million, dropped to 10 million. What I think is safe to say is it will be in that 10 to 15 million pound region. So 11.3 isn't entirely unbelievable. So it's going to be something like that that's going to trigger a move for Kvistgaarden this summer. Will it be Celtic that pays it? No idea. I don't know if he's still one of our top targets. I think he should be one of Celtic's top targets. He looks like a quality striker and has teams looking at him for a reason. Eintracht Frankfurt were apparently interested in January. That didn't happen. So Celtic need to be ahead of the curve now, because there will be big clubs in Germany and such circling the name of him. And he is set on leaving. So we know there's a player available there in this window. Will he be the one? Let me know what you think. But £11.3 million, it would be a huge fee. And I think it would shatter the Arne Engels transfer record, if I remember rightly. So, yeah, a lot of money. The other striker we're going to talk about very quickly, because I don't think there's too much in it, is Hearts youngster James Wilson. Of course, the young man is up for Young Player of the Year in the Scottish Premiership this season. He's been fantastic for Hearts in his, arrival to the first team. and a Chronicle Live, a Newcastle-based publication, is reporting that both Celtic and Rangers have been looking at James Wilson heading into the summer window. Now, this comes off the back of a headline that said Newcastle United are looking at the Scottish Premiership sensation, they're calling him. The Magpies are considering a bid for the youngster. However, if you read down in the article, sources suggest that both Celtic and Rangers have been checking out the player with a market value of around £1 million. So there's not much else in it other than that. I don't think this is exactly a shock anyway. Any young player in Scotland who has high potential is going to be looked at by Celtic and Rangers. It's just fact. You know, it doesn't matter if it's James Wilson, doesn't matter if it's Lennon Miller, doesn't matter who it is. If they are showing signs of being a top player and they're homegrown, Celtic and Rangers are going to be in about it. So I don't think this comes as a massive shock to me. I would just be surprised if Celtic were prepared to move for James Wilson anytime soon. That's nothing against him. I think he's been great, as I've said. Great debut season for Hearts. But I don't think it's the type of player we need right now when we already have youngsters around the club who are struggling to get near the first team. So yeah, his name has popped up. Celtic and Rangers have been quoted in there with him. But I wouldn't read too much into it. Final wee story for today regards forgotten Celtic player Odin Thiago Holm, who is currently applying his trade in the MLS. He's enjoying life over in Los Angeles, the lucky bugger, and of course will return to Celtic at the end of the calendar year. But he has spoke very publicly about how he doesn't see his Celtic career as over, which, hands up, I'll say, fair play. Usually loan deals for certain players spell the beginning of the end, and for Odin Thiago Holm I thought that would be the case, and I thought that he would maybe be accepting of that being the case. But in an interview over in America, he said that he's not quite giving up on the Celtic dream yet, because this was his quotes about his Celtic future, saying that the aim for him is still to come back and be successful at Celtic and win trophies. He's confident in his own ability to do that. I still see my future at Celtic. I just need to get consistency in the work that I do. So Odin Thiago Holm still very much wanting to be a Celtic player by the sounds of things, which I you know what, I love that. He's somebody who had such a high ceiling coming to the club. He was signed for a reason. I would like to see succeed if possible. He just obviously needs to apply that consistency he's talking about and give us a reason to believe he can be a Celtic player. There's not much to report on right now about his start to life at LAFC because the season has only recently started in America. So his stats aren't anything to show off. He's got 5 appearances across all competitions, 3 in the MLS, but it's still very early days in that league season. So we'll keep track of that over the course of the year and see what it's going to be like for him coming back in January. Right then, that does it for today. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow to talk about the game. The big game this weekend, the Celtic the Thunder, will also be recorded tomorrow night. So stay tuned. You know what to do to keep up to date with everything that's going on at Celtic. Hit those buttons below. But until next time, take care of yourself. God bless and cheerio.